Hello, my dear students. Actually, in this chapter, Kerala economy, we have discussed about the geographical features as well as the demographic features of Kerala. We have also seen the certain vital statistics about Kerala. Then we have seen certain important features or exclusive features of Kerala economy. Then we discussed the Kerala model of economic development and various factors that contributed for this high development experience or the unique development experience of Kerala. And today in this video, what I am going to discuss with you is what are the drawbacks of Kerala model of development. When we see any new thing or any unique things in Kerala, we usually refer it as a Kerala model of development. Okay, so when the flood happens, each and everyone they are cooperating to fight against this flood. Then we are seeing it as a feature of Kerala model of development. Okay, when this and at this Corona period, okay, Kerala is now fighting against this Corona pandemic in a different way with the support of the public. Here also some people referring it as a Kerala mode of development. Okay, so what is basically Kerala mode of development that we have discussed, and today I'll give you some of the drawbacks of Kerala model of development. The first issue is the Kerala model of development is basically based on certain central tendency measures. On an average, if you look at the matter, then Kerala is better. Okay, but you might have learned in your third some economic class, quantitative technique classes, the central tendency alone will not give us a good measure. Okay, there are a measure called a dispersions. Okay, the dispersion, the average along with the dispersion will give you the best measure. Okay, but when we take the dispersion, we can see certain groups of people they have excluded from this development process. Okay, who is this exclusive people or excluded people? First one is the SC/ST peoples, scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe groups, and the second group is the fisherman community or fisherman folks. Okay, and these people, studies shows that these people were largely excluded from the development process. Okay, then how we can understand whether they have excluded from this development process? This can be understood by looking at their education status, looking at their literacy rate, looking at their life expectancy. If you look at all these factors, you can see that these peoples, especially the ST and the fishermen folks, they were lagged in behind the national and state average. If you look at the literacy rate for scheduled tribe is only 64 in Kerala, but the general literacy is around 92. Okay, so when we say that the Kerala 92% of people are literate, we are not mentioning that in SC/ST population only below 70 people are educated or they are literate. When you see their school level and school level college level educations, you can see this number will be very less. Okay, similarly if you measure the access of these scheduled tribe and these fishermen folks to this formal health system, you can see only 5% of the total these ST people are having the access to these hospitals. Okay, so why there is this kind of an exclusion from this development process? It has many reasons. First one is land reforms didn't benefit ST people. Okay, the scheduled tribe people they are living in hill areas. since the land reform was not applicable for this hill area, okay, and these people, they were not benefited for they not benefited from this land reforms. That was the major reason for exclusion, okay. And when you look at their educational health policies, the most of the state educational health policies didn't benefit these people, because these people, they were isolated on the base of geography. Geographically, these people were isolated, okay. Then when we discuss about the Kerala model, the most important contributing factors for this Kerala model was the missionary activities of the Christianity or Christian religion, okay, or Christian missionaries. And these Christian missionaries, their works or their role in these two areas, in the fisherman area as well as in this hill area or the scheduled tribe areas, was very, very less, okay. And one more reason for the Kerala model development was the migrations. And these people, they were not migrated at all, because we can find that the lowest migration in Kerala can be found in these two groups, ST group as well as this fisherman groups. Okay, and no union activities among these peoples. Okay, no cooperate societies among these grouples. As a result, there is no separate welfare scheme for fishermen. Okay, even though there is for ST people, there are certain welfare schemes. Okay, but they are not actually benefiting from this due to this high bureaucratic what to call, yeah, high bureaucratic activities or high bureaucratic uh, the prominence of these government staffs, okay. They are getting the actual amounts, even though they are getting the amount in paper, actually they are not getting the amount, okay. So this was the first reason, first drawback of Kerala model of economic development. The second one is, the most crucial one, is the very poor performance of the agriculture and industry. Kerala, you can see that, totally neglected the production sector, especially the agriculture production sector as well as the industrial production sector or commodity producing sectors. Kerala has totally neglected. Okay, then if you look at the industrial investment is very low. Investment in physical infrastructure is very low, okay. Then investment in agriculture, especially in agricultural technology, is also very low compared to the other states. When we compare to the states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, we can see this kind of an investment in this infrastructure facilities and agricultural equipments or technology is very less in Kerala, or very low in Kerala, okay. Then these two things, especially the neglection of the agriculture sector and low investment in both industry and agriculture, the agriculture as well as the industrial sector was stagnant, and which results into the poor revenue mobilization in the states. Okay, so due to this fact, Kerala has been experiencing acute financial crisis or acute fiscal crisis. Okay, then the third issue is, there is a doubt among the economists about the sustainability of Kerala model, whether Kerala model, how long Kerala model will sustain, okay. And this sustainability issue is attributed to the unsustainable fiscal policy and fiscal crisis. If you look at the fiscal policy of Kerala, and if you look at the fiscal deficit figures, you will understand that how this Kerala model is running in fiscal deficits, or how this how long this Kerala model will sustain, that we can check. Okay, for last many years, Kerala is running through the deficit budget. Okay, and the main problem for this is the higher investment in social infrastructure. If you look at the Kerala's budget allotment, we can see the sizable size of this budget allotment is going to the educational health facilities. Okay, and it's totally neglecting the physical infrastructure as well as industrial growth. Okay, yes, but even though the expenditure in this educational health is very high, their return is very low. We cannot measure the return in health and education. Okay, and this is the main reason for the fiscal deficits. Okay, this fiscal deficit, if you look at the time series data on fiscal deficit, we can see that the total fiscal deficit in Kerala was only 3.4% of the total GSDP in 1991. But now it has increased to 5.3 in 2000 and again into a 6 to 7% in this recent times. Okay, so due to this widening fiscal deficit, Kerala cannot invest more in social sector reform. Okay, so now onwards, the Kerala is not in a position to invest more on these social sectors. Okay, so there is a doubt about this sustainability of Kerala economic models. Okay, yes. And fourth drawback is the jobless growth or high educated unemployment. Okay, so as I told you before, the agriculture is performance is very poor, industrial performance is stagnant. That's why this is the two important sector providing job opportunities. That's the primary sector and tertiary sector. If you look at the primary sector, the performance is very poor. If you look at the tertiary sector, it is stagnant. Okay, that's why employment opportunities in Kerala is very less. Okay, and the remaining sector is the service sector. But you look at the service sector, there are enough unemployment in the service sector. The employment opportunities in service sectors are very low. Okay, but we have enough population who are educated, and that's why these educated people, they are not able to go for they are not able to get a job based on their qualifications. Okay, so the educated unemployment is very less. In 1999, the employment was 11 percentage something against 2.7 percentage in India. If you look at the employment status and if you compare with the Kerala status with India, we can say that there is a wide disparities. Okay, and again if you look at this employment status in women employment or female work participation, we can see that the female work participation is very low in Kerala and female unemployment is very high. Okay, then again if you look at the educated unemployment, it is uh, educated unemployment is very high, and it was estimated 50% for men and almost 50% for women. Okay, and in rural area it is 99 for men and 49 for women. So in both rural and urban area, we can see that there is a wide disparity among the educated unemployment between male and female, or women and men. There are wide range of disparities. Okay, so this is the case of jobless economic growth as well as the educated unemployment. Okay, then the fifth one is, we have seen that one of the crucial factor that contributed for Kerala model of economic development is the huge remittance from Gulf countries. Okay, but here also there are issues. Okay, the issue is nowadays all these countries, they are implementing their own policies. Okay, or their internal policies are much favor to the person to their internal persons. For expatriates, they are following some of the strict policies. If you look at the Nitakat and all, we can see that these foreigners, they are not able to provide much employment because the internal population is suffering with huge amount of unemployment. Okay, so in 2011, if you look at the foreign remittance, it was 31.23% of the NSDP. If you look at the net state domestic product, almost one third of 31 percentage of this NSDP is from Gulf remittance. Okay, yes. And nowadays, as I told you, the localization of the employment is happening, and this Gulf remittance, there's a disturbance in the uh, remittance, and nowadays the COVID situation also worsen the situations. Okay, and because of this thing, there is a huge amount of return migrants or return migration is happening. Okay, and as a result, the remittance is, if you look at the trend in the remittance, it is decreasing now. Okay, so uh, large dependence on remittance was there in Kerala, or Kerala was highly dependent on the Gulf remittance, but nowadays the problem of remittance, or the remittance, has certain constraints. Okay, then the last one is the lack of private investment and initiatives. Okay, so Kerala is widely recognized as the less investment friendly state due to two facts. One is trade unionism, and second one is frequent strikes and lockouts. Okay, so due to the presence of these leftist parties, trade unionism is very strong in Kerala. Okay, and due to this fact, Kerala was recognized as a less investment friendly states in India. Okay, and this trade union movement, backed by these political parties, are frequently organizing agitations. Okay, and they are successfully pushing the wages up and other benefits of the workers. Okay, and because of these things, the private parties, they are hesitating to invest in Kerala. Okay, so this is a widely recognized facts. Okay, and if you look at the industrialist, they are also seeing that this in Kerala is uh, there is a no friendly atmosphere to run an industry because of these high trade union activities. Okay, and if you look at the private investment in Kerala, we can see it is very less compared to the other states. Okay, yes. So this was about the drawbacks of the Kerala model of economic development. And if you look at the Kerala model of economic development, some people, they are strongly agreeing that the Kerala model of economics is better. Whereas if you look at some people, they are starting to uh, oppose or criticize the Kerala model of economic development because of this its sustainability and the reasons for the Kerala model of economic development. Okay, so the arguments in favor of Kerala model and argument against the Kerala models. Okay, so this debate, there's a debate like this: argument in favor of Kerala model and argument against the Kerala models. Okay, and this development was initiated by this two eminent economists, A.K. Sen, Amartya Kumar Sen, and Jagdish Bhagwati. So their debates about Kerala model of development is known as Sen Bhagwati debate. Okay, so this is basically a healthy argument between two fractions of researchers led by two great Indian economists, Amartya Sen and Bhagwati, about India's governance priorities in terms of in India's government priorities. Okay, So Sen Bhagwati debate is a healthy argument between two group of researchers. One research group is led by the Sen and another one is led by this Bhagwati. Okay, and this argument was about the India's government priorities. Okay, that means to which area the India should give more priorities. Okay, so the priority means whether the India has to follow or India has to look at into economic growth or economic development. That means whether India has to stick on to the economic growth figures or India have to look into these development indicators. Okay, the origin of the debate was in December 2010 in a speech to the member of parliaments. Jagdish Bhagwati argued that the reforms in 1991 have brought prosperity to even the lowest social classes and hence they must be continued. Jagdish Bhagwati, he is the blind follower of liberalization models or liberalization policies. He said that 1991 liberalization, privatization and globalization policies has brought prosperity to the even to the lowest section of the society. Hence, it must be continued. Okay, and he said that he downplayed the importance of Human Development Index. Okay, so he said that Human Development Indicators. If we take the Human Development Indicators, we can see Kerala, India's position is far below. It is around 150. Okay, in between 130 and 150. Okay, so don't need to worry about this human development indicators because they are saying that it is not an accurate measure to measure the development. Okay, but this human development indicators was developed by this Amartya Sen and the renowned Pakistan economist Mahbubul Haq. Okay, and why this Jagdish Bhagwati is criticizing this HDI is he says that HDI is basically a mathematical it's a mathematical technique and it has very little scientific basis. Okay, so this HDI is only based on three factors: education, health, and income. Okay, and it ignores many factors, and due to this fact, it has very little scientific basis. This was the argument made by Jagdish Bhagwati. Okay, but the Amartya Sen, he was the professor of economics and philosophy at Harvard University. Okay, what he believed that India should invest more in social infrastructure. Okay, as health and education to increase the productivity of these people, thus it will rise the economic growth. Amartya's argument was India should invest more in social sector in social infrastructure such as health and education. Okay, so this health and education will improve the productivity of the people. Okay, and the productivity of the people will again increase the economic growth. Okay, so there must be economic development first. The economic development will bring the economic growth. Okay, and without the investment in education and health, inequality will be widened. Okay, and the growth process itself will falter. Okay, and his argument is unhealthy and uneducated labor cannot produce memorable growth rates. Actually, the growth rates are produced by this labor, and if the laborers are unhealthy and uneducated, they cannot produce economic growth. Okay, and Sun suggests that state-led distribution efforts as the solution for India's economic problems. So, for improving the education and health, there must be certain economic scheme or social and economic schemes. Okay, that means state-led distributors. That in the state or the government should lead or government should lead or government should formulate certain policies for this. And as a supporting document, Sen view that the Kerala experience. Okay, and Sen quoted Kerala experience, high social spending resulting in economic growth. Okay, as a role model for other states to follow. So the problem is when Sen was suggesting this kind of model for India, he said that uh, he quoted the Kerala model of development. He said that in Kerala model of in Kerala there are huge number of state-sponsored economic schemes, and this has resulted economic growth in Kerala, and all other state has to follow the Kerala model of economic development. Okay, yes, but Jagdish Bhagwati, he is also the professor of economics from Columbia University. He viewed that focusing on growth, resources can be generated which can be reinvested in social sector schemes. Okay, so he said that instead of doing or for doing investment in economic development or education and health policy, health sectors, we need to have certain resources. Okay, so first focus on economic growth, then you generate some resources. Okay, then these resources you distribute to the or you reinvest in education and the health sector. So Jagadish Bhavan is suggesting that we need first economic growth. This economic growth will automatically result into economic development. Okay, and regarding the inequality statement of this Amartya Sen, Jagadish Bhagwati countered that initially economic growth may rise the inequalities. Okay, but whenever the economic growth beyond go beyond a state or beyond a levels, okay, inequality will be reduced. Okay, similarly, he also argues growth and welfare programs are needed but not at the cost of each other. Okay, we need welfare schemes, we need also economic growth. Okay, but it should not be at the cost of each other. That both should be continued in a simultaneous manner. We need economic growth at the same time. We have to follow the welfare schemes. Okay, we don't need to sacrifice the economic growth for getting the welfare scheme implemented. Okay, we can have the welfare scheme at the same time. We can have the economic growth also. Okay, and Professor Bhagwati's argument is Gujarat model is a metaphor for primary growth and private ownership lead to development. So there's one more model is there. It is called the Gujarat models. If you look at the Gujarat model, their economic growth is very high. But if you look at their this feature, the social features or the demographic features like education, literacy, and all, we can see their rank is very low compared to Kerala. But if you look at the economic growth, it is the leading economic growth state in India. Okay, so when Amartya Sen pointed out that Kerala model is better for India, Jagadish Bhagwati argues that the Gujarat model is Gujarat model is most appropriate for India. Okay, so Gujarat model is based on growth models, whereas this Kerala model is based on economic development model. Okay, then yes, Jagadish Bhagwati and Aravind Panagaria, they recommend that India should focus on economic growth. That is the best way for India to go forward. Okay. So Amartya Sen and Jean Rhys both are admired and supported Kerala model of economic development, while Jagadish Bhagwati and Aravind Panagaria, they are preferred Gujarat model of development. Okay, but none of them refuses the achievements made by both models of development. Okay, so these two economists, they are not minimalizing the role played by Kerala model or or the Gujarat model. They are agreeing both models are good. Okay, but their main difference is whether what model should India focus on, whether India should focus on economic development or economic growth. Okay, yes. And for putting their arguments right, they have made many arguments. Okay, so Jagadish and Bhagwati and Panagaria, they argues that whatever Kerala had achieved was thanks to a growth-oriented approach. Kerala is basically achieved economic growth due to the growth-oriented approach, not for the development activities of the state. Okay, and they suggest that Kerala's high social indicators have much less to do with the so-called Kerala model and more to do with the global trade, growth-oriented policies, and private sector participations. Okay, Kerala achieved marvelous growth in marvelous economic development mainly because of their relation with their global trade participations and growth oriented policies and the private sector participations, and less to do with his social schemes. Okay, but Sen argues that Gujarat model on the he blamed that Gujarat model on the ground of the poor social infrastructure, backward education and health standard and adverse roads. Okay, while as a counter for these arguments, he blamed the Gujarat model because Gujarat model haven't produced good social infrastructure. Okay, they are still at the backward in education. Health facilities are not standardized. Okay, then road facilities are also not good. Okay, and support the Kerala model of economic development. Sen state that when the Kerala went that the way, it was one of the poor state in India, but the basic policy of human capability formation through public effort facilitated the economic growth in Kerala, and eventually it became one of the richest Indian states. Okay, so basically Kerala started with a low economic growth. Okay, but as the state has led certain social and economic schemes, okay, it increased the economic growth. So it was the argument made by this Amartya Sen. Okay, and in a recent in a interview in 2013, again Bhagwati attacked the Kerala model by saying that Kerala had started at very high level of social indicators at the time of the independence. Okay, in 1951, the Kerala literacy rate was 47. At the same time, India's was only 18 and Gujarat was only 22. Okay, and now Kerala literacy rate is 97 and Gujarat literacy rate is 90. For example, it means that in terms of the growth, Gujarat model has achieved more growth because Kerala has already started with a high economic growth, so high literacy rate. Okay, so when the India became independent, Kerala's literacy was around 50. At the same time, Gujarat is 22, that means 28 percentage behind. Gujarat started their journey. Okay, but now the gap between the Kerala and Gujarat literacy rate has reduced. Okay, and this Jagadish Bhagwati blamed that Kerala has the highest literacy because Kerala started with highest literacy. Okay, so level and rate matters. So he said that levels and rates matters when we compare the two economic developments or two economic growths. Okay, Bhagavati focused on more on rate of change, while Sen argued that level matter. For Gujarat's model, Some recent rates of change might look impressive as it is on small basis, while for Kerala, even incremental changes in high levels are impressive as they are difficult to come by. Okay, so as a contrary argument to the said argument, sorry, Bhagavati's argument, Sen argued that a small rate changes at the highest levels is very difficult to achieve. Okay, so it is better, it is very good to achieve 80% of the literacy rate. Okay, beyond that it is very difficult to achieve. A very small increment in the changes is highly impressive because it is very difficult to achieve. Okay, yes. Now if you look at these two models or if you compare these two states, there are certain interesting facts. Okay, look at this NSDP plots of Kerala and Gujarat. Okay, both states were going together up to 1990. Okay, so after 1991, Gujarat is Gujarat NSDP is increasing like anything. Kerala has also increased, but if you look at the rates, Gujarat has better performed in terms of NSDP or GDP. And if you look at the contribution of primary sector, primary, secondary, and tertiary sector, you can see that Kerala, in 1993, Kerala's primary sector contribution was 33, secondary was 24.7. Okay, it has decreased into 12.9 in terms of primary and a marginal increase into 25% in terms of in the case of secondary. Okay, but you look at the Gujarat model, Gujarat states primary was 25, but only there is a marginal increase. Now it is 22.1. And if you look at the secondary, it also increased from 35 to 36. Okay, so in terms of the contribution to primary and secondary, Gujarat model or Gujarat is better than Kerala. And if you look at this electricity capacity of Kerala and Gujarat, okay, in terms of electricity, Kerala is having only 2,836 megawatt. Kerala is producing only, but if you look at the Gujarat, it is producing 40,000 something megawatts. So in terms of energy productions, Gujarat is performing better than that of Kerala. Okay, you take the case of roads, NH and SH. Kerala is having only 1,524 kilometers of NH, national highway, and 44,342 state highways. Okay, and only 27,469 district road. But if you compare this with that of this Gujarat, NH is 3,000 something, SH is 18,000 something. Okay, but if you look at the district wise road, that means roads through this are rural areas. Okay, Kerala has the better rural connection in terms of roads. Okay, then if you look at the education indicators, okay, literacy rate 93, okay, and female literacy rate is 91, male literacy is 96, dropout ratio is only 0.27. Okay, if you look at this Gujarat, literacy is only 79, female literacy is 70, and male literacy is 87. There is a huge difference between the Gujarat and Kerala in terms of education indicators, especially this literacy rate. And if you look at the dropout ratio, it is very high in Gujarat. Okay. Yes. Similarly, if you look at the health indicators, life expectancy for female and male, IMR, MMR, fertility rate, birth rate, death rate, in all these indicators, Kerala is performing better than the Gujarat. Okay, but if you look at the crime against a woman, okay, Kerala is having one of the highest criminal rate against women. Okay, it is 62 against 42 in Gujarat. Similarly, if you look at the crime against children, again it is 20.22 in Kerala, and Gujarat it is 10.16. Okay, and if you look at the suicidal death, again Kerala is having the highest suicidal deaths. Okay, so if you look at this kind of criminal activity, suicide, why Kerala is having the highest incidence of this kind of things? Okay, so the research are concluding that in Kerala is having basically Gujarat is having more rate of more amount of these criminal rates against women, but they are not reporting it. Okay, but Kerala is reporting its criminal whatever maybe that happens. Kerala is the reporting rate in Kerala is very high. Okay, so this in Kerala, since the reporting rate is very high, it shows that the criminal rate the criminal activities against women and child is very high in Kerala. Okay, but it is basically high in Gujarat, in UP and all, but they are not reporting it. Polices are not reporting it. Okay, and if you look at this poverty and unemployment, Kerala's poverty is 7.5, Gujarat is 16.63. Unemployment, Kerala is having 98, sorry, 90 rate is 98, not 98 percentage, 9.8 percent, I think, 9.8 percentage. Gujarat is 7.7 percentage. Okay, and in terms of unemployment, Kerala is here. Kerala's rank is 26, but Gujarat rank is 1. That means Kerala unemployment rate is very high, but the poverty rate is very low. Okay, so if you look at the various indicators, various economic growth and economic development indicators, we can see that in all kind of economic growth indicators, the Gujarat is leading. But if you look at the development indicators, social development indicators, Kerala is performing better. Okay, so Jagadish and Bhagavati, their debate concludes that Gujarat model is basically a growth model, while Kerala model is a human development model. Okay, and Kerala's social indicators are still high, and there is not much gender bias in both health and education. But if you look at the Gujarat, there is a high, the social indicators are very low, and moreover, the gender disparities in all these indicators are very, very high. Okay, yes. So finally, I am concluding this debate. So basically, this debate is a battle between left and right. So there is a in economics also there is a left and right. Okay, the right people, they are always stood for the economic growth and liberalization policies. The leftist wings, they are always worry about this economic growth. They want to economic development, and they are focusing on the importance for the states. Okay, yes. So the debate is not about rejecting market economy. It appears to be more about policy preferences rather than policy directions. Okay, so this Amartya Sen is not downplaying the role of the market, but this debate is basically about what will be the policy preference of the states. Okay, so to sum up in one sentence this debate, Bhagavati wants to focus on reforms to push economic growth, and Sen wants to focus on tackling the poverty and inequality through social measures. Okay, so this is the Kerala model of economic development and the Sen Bhagavati debate.